Hi guys, Blacklist Dan here, back with part 3 of Sonny's GTI body kit. Today I'm going to be carrying on with this front bumper. Let's get started. Okay, so if you remember from the last video, I actually fiberglassed the front bumper, but the bottom piece here, I actually didn't fiberglass that. I used resin, and the reason I've done that, I wanted to try something different. I was wondering why people don't do it, but now I know why people don't do it. So when I applied the resin, I thought, yeah, that little piece here is supposed to be in the bumper still, but okay. Yeah, so I applied the resin and I thought, okay, yeah, why don't people do this? Turns out what happens is the foam absorbs the resin and then it shrinks. So what's happened overnight, the bumper has absorbed the resin and then it's shrank, and then the bottom piece has gone further back underneath the bumper. So I've had to come in this morning and sort of break it here, like put a crack in it so I can pull it further out, and then it's now back its original form. So I put this little spacer here. I've got that in there just to wedge it and hold it open so I can go around and actually fiberglass it properly this time. But like I said, you try these things and you learn from it, so I now know never to do that again. So I'm going to fiberglass this piece. Also, while we're waiting for that to go off, I'm going to go around and get rid of all of the high spots on the fiberglass that I've already applied. And then once that's all sanded back, I can then start filling all of this with filler. And then by that time, that should have gone off, and then I could start doing the same thing with the bottom piece. So I'm going to get cracking straight away and let's get this bumper done. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this piece here. I've got my fiberglass sheets here, so I'm literally just going to lay these over the top and around it and reinforce these cracks. I've got another one just here as well somewhere, I think it was there. So I've got to reinforce all of them. Okay, so as you can see, I'll start laying the resin first, and then once I've completely soaked it in the resin, I'll start laying these little sheets over the top of it. So when I apply these sheets, I'll never apply them in separate places. I'll always try and overlap them, and the idea to that, it just keeps the strength in the fiberglass, whereas if you do them individually, there won't be much strength left in it. So as you can see here, I'm just laying the second one over the top, and then I'll do that for the other side as well. Now while I'm waiting for that bottom bit of fiberglass to dry off, I'm just going to go around the whole bumper and I'm going to start cutting and sanding all of the rough bits away. Okay, so I've given this a blast over now with the grinder. I'll put a little flat disc on there just to get through it a lot quicker. The bottom's dry now, so I'll give that a blast as well. I'm ready to get rid of the dust now with the compressor, and then I'm going to slap a load of filler on and then start blending it all in. So let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to mixing filler, it's usually 1 pea size, a bit of hardener, to 1 golf ball size piece of filler. But unfortunately, I have no peas and I have no golf balls, so it's just going to be a complete guessing game. I'm just going to slap it on there. I know I'm going to need a lot of it, so I'm going to use my own ratio for this. So I need that, and the hardener, I think this will do. Let's see. Bit more good luck. There you go, sorted. Now literally just mix that up so all of the hardener is evenly spread throughout the filler. I'm just going to keep mixing this up nice and thoroughly. Probably spend a minute on this, make sure it's all mixed properly. The last thing you want is to not mix it properly, and then the hardener doesn't reach certain parts of the filler and then it's all stodgy and soggy. You don't really want that. So yeah, just spend your time mixing the filler properly and then applying it. It's going to be nice and easy. Okay, that looks like it's mixed enough now, so I'm literally just going to take a nice amount and just slap it on. Once it stops running, there we go. Nearly. There we go. So yeah, just take it and just slap it on. Nice big strokes. spread more even, whereas if you do it smaller, you're going to have a bit more high and low spots. So if you just do like one nice big stroke, works out loads better. I'm going to need a lot of filler to do this, I'm aware of that, but it's the price you have to pay really when you build your own things. Okay, let's skip to the time lapse. Okay, so I've filled all of the low spots now that needed bulking out a bit. I'm not going to tackle this bottom bit yet, just because I've got another idea in mind. I don't know if you guys have ever seen something called sculpting clay. It's what a lot of people build body kits out of. It's very expensive stuff though. So the idea of sculpting clay, you put it on and it's pretty much like when you was a kid with Play-Doh. You've got to sculpt it into what you want. But again, like I said, it's very expensive stuff. I'm going to see if there's a cheaper alternative, or if I can get some for a bit cheaper than what it is, because after thinking about it, filler is going to be so expensive. So at the moment, bear with me, I've used probably about half a tub of filler, and this is £40 a tub. So if you're in America, it's around $50 a tub. So I don't want to be spending that much money on just a front bumper. There's definitely a cheaper alternative and getting the same result. So I'm going to try and see if I can get some sculpting clay, and then it'll probably make my life a bit easier as well then, because I'm not having to wait for it to go off and having different textures each time, because when I'm actually mixing the filler up, it's never the same consistency, because unless I actually measure it properly, some of them will be harder, some of them will be softer, depending on how much hardener I put in it. So it's never going to be right. So I could be sanding a piece here that I've filled, and then this other piece here is going to be softer because I've put either too much or too less hardener in, and it's not the same. So I'm going to have drops in it, and I don't really want that. So the alternative is to find some sculpting clay. So I'm going to give that a go, and I'm actually going to get my phone out and see if I can find any. All right, so it's a new day, new start. As you can see, all of this has gone off now. It's all rock solid.
Nice.
Second thing, I had a look into the sculpting clay last night, and it seems that there's a lot more to it than I actually thought, because I've never done sculpting clay before or anything like that. I thought, oh, it's pretty simple, like sort of like Play-Doh in a way, but turns out from what I was watching, don't quote me on this because I'm not entirely sure, from what I was watching, you need an oven to warm the clay up or something, and then you pull it on, and then as it cools down, it hardens. I didn't know that. I thought, yeah, you just slap it on and it'll be all good. But no, it turns out you're gonna need a big oven. And as you can see in here, I don't have a big oven. So I'm gonna have to go with the filler still. But I did find a link on Amazon for three 3.5 litre tubs of basically the same stuff I got now. And it says on there it's £72.99, but if I go back, I actually paid $69.99. So it works out pretty cheap. It's a 3.5 litre tub. My current one's only 3 litre, so I'm getting a lot more for the money. So I'm just going to carry on with the filler. I know it's a bit more challenging sanding it all down and everything, but it's probably my cheapest option, and I know how to work the filler. So I'm going to keep working with it, and we're going to see how far we can get. Also, one other thing before I carry on with this car, I did find Sonny's GTI last night. Someone sent me a link to one that was really clear, so I could see the car in that high definition instead of looking at the game and trying to get stuff off it from there. And I figured out on the front bumper, I couldn't actually see it from the game. So when I looked at it from here, I'll try and show you. There's a groove at the very bottom of the bumper, and I didn't notice that when I was sculpting it. So I'm gonna have to take this filler off and the fiberglass and put a groove in it so it follows the contour of that really. So it needs to set back a little bit. And I've got to follow it all the way around. It finishes actually in the arch as well. So in the fender flare, it finishes in that. So it will come from here, then scoop out. So I've got to do that. I didn't know I had to do that, so I've just created a lot more work for myself. I'm not going to show you guys me actually doing that, because it's going to be annoying, like taking all this off and then going back over it. So I'm just gonna skip at some point to that being finished. But for now, I'm gonna carry on filling. I'm gonna probably cut this off now, but I'm gonna carry on filling all of this, sanding it down. And also I noticed these pieces here actually aren't supposed to be like that. There's like a metal bar, it looks like in the pictures, and it goes from here across to there, but it's not curved with the bumper, it's like a straight bar. So I'm gonna have to cut this bit off here. Same with the other side. I'm gonna cut that off, and I'm gonna try and figure out what I can use that's gonna replicate it exactly the same as Sonny's body kit from the game. So wish me luck, I'm gonna have to do a lot of research now. Okay, so what I'm doing now, I'm just gonna blast this with the sander. This is 240 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander. I'm gonna leave that bottom piece because that's just gonna annoy the hell out of me, because I've fiberglassed that, I've put a bit of work into it, a few hours work, and I've got to this stage now where I have to take it all back off. So I'm just gonna go along this, get the shape in it, and then I'm gonna tackle that another day. But the rest of it I can smooth off and make it look sort of presentable for you. So I'm gonna get to that straight away. Okay, so like I said earlier, this piece here needs to be cut off, because if you look closely at Sonny's body kit, this is the same part that's back there. I can't zoom in anymore, but if you look at it, it's almost like it's a metal bar, or it could be a light, or I'm not sure really. It could just be like a metal piece that goes across there. I don't really know. If any of you guys actually know, you'd save me so much time. If you could leave it in the comments below, it would mean a lot, because I'm going to struggle. I nearly dropped it. I'm going to struggle for hours trying to figure out what that actually is. So anyway, this needs to be cut off. So I'm going to grab this wood saw and I'm just going to start chopping away. I've got to do the same with the other side as well. It is a shame, but it's not supposed to be there. Something else is. So I'm going to get cracking on that straight away for you. Also, I cut myself. I've got no plasters, so I use masking tape. If it works, it works. Like I said before, it's not a bodge if it works. It's easier than I thought. Alright then, I'm just finishing off my last tub of filler. I also thought about something else as well. If you remember when I cut off the sides of the bumper, which were actually the extended arches, I cut them off because I thought I'm going to build this bumper in 3 pieces. So I've decided completely against that again. So I'm going to build this bumper now in 1 piece. After looking at it and seeing how I personally think it should be done, I believe it's going to be better to do it in 1 piece. And then once this whole bumper is sculpted and exactly how I want it, it's perfect, it's got nothing else to do, then I'm going to take the bumper off and then I'm going to make a mold out of it. So then it's just going to be easier, instead of creating a skin for the front, which would be like this piece here that I'm making. So instead of just making that, I'd have to put it back on then and then blend it in with the bodywork. I feel as if I'm doing a job twice, if you know what I mean. Whereas if I was to build this entire bumper, I could take it off, and even if I don't want to make the molds for it, I can send this bumper to someone that deals with fiberglass and they can create the molds for me. So then I can just create, I can just get them to create extra bumpers for me if I do need them. So for now, I'm just gonna tackle that. I'm gonna completely do the bumper in 1 piece. I'm gonna go against everything I've just said over the past couple of videos. So I've finished off my last tub of filler, so I'm just going to wait until tomorrow when the other 3 tubs arrive. I don't mind dumping a load of it on this because I know this is going to be perfect now. I'm going to do the arches, the arches. I'm going to do those tomorrow once I've got all of this smoothed off and how I want it. Again, I still have to put that grooving down the bottom, and that's another reason why I wanted to put the sides back on again, because this piece down the bottom actually blends in with the extended arches. So in order to do that, I kind of need it on the car instead of doing the 2 pieces on the sides separate. It's going to be a lot more hassle doing that, because then I'd have to blend it into this bumper, and I don't want to do it. So that's the plan, that's what I'm going with, and hopefully it works. Alright, this is how far I've got. All of these little pieces are tacked in now, and these pieces I've used a hot glue gun to stick them to the bumper. I've got a piece of cardboard at the bottom ready for like a little podium where I'm going to put the expanding foam on, and I'm going to build it up to this gap here between the bumper and the wing. So I'm going to get a piece of masking tape now, a long piece, and I'm going to mark out where the ridge is that starts the fender off. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to just run along it with this. Yeah, that looks about right. All I'm going to do now, I'm going to tape this bit up just for now and start expanding foaming this bit once I've gone over these with more masking tape. So again, I'm literally just going to run the masking tape, not this one, it's a bit thin, but I'm going to run the masking tape over that so it follows the contour of the arch. So it seems to be working out. I'm going to carry on now, just taping this up. Okay, the fender's all expanding foam now. I had a bit of a problem with it. I had to prop a load of stuff up against it and it all went wrong. It started flopping out everywhere. There's a stain on the floor because of it. Back on topic, the laser level line is up against this mark and the mark on the rear arch as well. So I'm just going to take a saw now and cut along this line. If I just follow it exactly down this laser level line, I can't go wrong. And then from then I can start shaping it as well. So I'm going to get started on that right now for you. Oh, actually, I'm going to take this side off first. So I'm just popping these tabs off the back, these little spacers. Popping them off the back so I can cut straight through without the saw hitting any of those. They'll probably just fall off anyway if I did hit them with the saw, but I might as well just take them off now, so save the hassle. Off with you. Okay, so like I said, literally just going to cut along this line and you can't go wrong really. I can't go wrong because I'm in the way of the laser level now, but I'll work around it. No, I can't work around it, it's too awkward. Okay, now all that's cut, I'm just going to go around this foam now and trim it down to sort of the same shape as Sonny's GTI bumper. So let's get carving away. Okay, so before I could start fiberglassing and filling, I realised something else. This part of the bumper needed bulking out, because when I looked at it face on like that, the top of the bumper, it dipped in and it followed the original line of the original bumper. So I've had to bulk it out. So from this line at the very top, I've had to bulk it further out so it come out down the bottom. So I need it sort of like coming out at the top and then straight down. Whereas before it come out at the top and dipped straight back in. So I've had to bulk that out, and I filled in all these little holes while I'm waiting for that to go off. I might as well fill them little holes in. That's sort of how it needs to be. That's pretty much ready now to be fiberglassed and then filled. But again, I can't do nothing right now because there is a hole that has to be cut out that follows this line here and here. There's a hole that has to be cut out just there. So I've got to wait for this to go off before I do anything else. And also I had a bit of a brainstorm. For me to get both sides of this bumper completely accurate, it's going to take a lot of time. So I've had a brilliant idea where if I can just get this part sorted first and then create the arch, well, the entire arch really, that's my plan. So I'm going to expand and foam all of this. But once that's all done, I'm then going to tackle the side skirt, and then I'm going to tackle this rear arch and then the bumper. So you're thinking, why am I getting ahead of myself? The idea of that, I'm not going to tackle the other side at all, because if I get that wing absolutely perfect to how this needs to be, I can then send this wing off to be 3D scanned. And when it gets 3D scanned, I can ask them to make me a mold out of it. So it's killing two birds with one stone here. I don't have to make a mold. It's easier for me to build that how I need it and then send it off somewhere else for them to create the mold for me while I can tackle something else on the car, if that makes sense. So if I can just get this entire one side of the car done, I can make a mold for this, I can make a mold for the side skirt, and I can make a mold for the rear arch as well. And that leads me on to the next thing. I actually don't need to do this side yet. So when I get the when I get the molds back from this, I'm going to ask them to basically flip the mold, you know what I mean, like sort of skew it. So I can ask them to make me this one, but I also want it skewed, so it'll be flipped, and they can make me a mold for the other side as well. So when that comes back from the well, I'm saying 3D printers, when it comes back from them, they can pretty much make me the mold for this. So all I have to do is fiberglass it, and I've got myself another arch, and I haven't had to do any of this work. So I'm going to get them to do that, and once that arch is actually made and in place, I can then start building this bumper out to exactly where the arch is. So I know it's going to be perfectly mirrored. So it saves a lot of time in the long run, because if I'm trying to get this bumper bang on both sides, it's going to be a lot of hassle, because I'm going over here, I'm having to measure something, I'm going back here to measure something. It's days of work really to just do that, whereas technology's advanced quite far now to the point where I can ask someone to mirror that wing for the other side. And that's going to be exactly the same principle with the side skirt and with the rear arch as well. So that's my plan. Hopefully it works. I've got to call around a few places and see if they can help me out with the 3D scanning and printing, and making a mold obviously as well. So that is all I'm going to say for today. It is the end of the video. I'm so sorry to say that. I've done more talking than anything else this video, but you guys know the plans now for this entire build pretty much. So I'm going to let that go off. You're going to see in the next video, and the next video I'm going to be foaming this and maybe the side skirt and the rear arch as well. So the next video is going to be pretty good as well. And again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support from all you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment. Thanks again.
Keep hustling.
You wish you could drive like that.